It's 1958, the World Cup is taking place. Brazil is facing the old Russia. A Brazilian footballer by the name of PELE is arriving to the stadium. We then jump back to 8 years ago, where some kids are cleaning shoes. Moments later, they use clothes to create a football ball to play on the streets of Brazil. Some of the kids go home dirty. Dicko gets punished by his mom for that. Meanwhile, Dicko's father with many friends are listening to the World Cup. Brazil is facing Uruguay in the finals. Dicko and his friends are also picking into to listen the final. Brazil then loses and Dicko's father cries. This makes Dicko so sad and he promises to win the World Cup for Brazil one day. The next day, Dicko is helping his mother doing her maid job at a rich house. Moments later, some rich kids come in hanging out. Dicko calls himself PELE in front of them. The kids make fun of him. But Dicko hears them talking about a football competition, so he gathers his friends and they head there. They enlist themselves and eliminate all teams, which makes them reach the finals. There, they are set to face the team with the same rich kids. The rich kids make fun of them for not even having shoes while they play. So Dicko and his friend steal some peanuts and go sell them at the market to buy shoes. There, the rich kids show up and make fun of them again. The kids end up fighting. The next day, Dicko's father takes him to his job and tells him he knows what happened, but support him. The next day, the finals finally take place. Dicko and his friends put the shoes they bought, but realize they are too big for them. They still use them and are losing the game. So Dicko and his friends decide to remove the shoes and play as they know how to play. As soon as they do, they start scoring with Dicko showing amazing abilities. Unfortunately, it was too late as Dicko and his friends lose the game. But the audience cheer them, amazed by the game they just witnessed from them. They scream the name PELE. At this moment, the men they stole the peanuts from show up and start chasing after them. Dicko and his friends starts running as far as they can. Pele's friend gets caught in hole and as water makes the ground go on him, he passes. That night, PELE cries to his mother feeling so guilty. The next day, Pele's father brings him to his job. He tries to make his son laugh. Days after days it starts working, as both play with mangoes. We then jump to years later. PELE is a teenager. His mother finally decides to call a football recruitment company. They show up and Waldemar invites PELE to play at the recruitment games they organize. Days later, PELE is training with the Santos football team. He is having a hard time getting used to it. So he goes home. But Waldemar confronts him asking what's going on. PELE reveals that they don't like his style of playing football. But Waldemar tells him, you either go home like a coward or show the world your talent. PELE then decides to come back to the Santos. The next day, PELE is having a bad game. He wonders what's going on and is mad at himself. He then remembers his father playing with mangoes. The beast inside of him wakes up, and PELE avoids all the other players, throws the ball in the air and execute an impressive bicycle kick scoring the goal. Everyone is shocked. Coach takes him aside and asks him to do it one more time. PELE does it again and everyone is in disbelief. This amazing gameplay takes him to win team after team as his name slowly spreads around. Weeks later, PELE gets the great news of being put in the pro team. With them, PELE continues to spread his name with amazing skills across games around Brazil. One day, he decides to visit his parents. He brings gifts and a radio for his father. We are now in 1958. The radio is on and the national Brazil team is about to announce the names of those who will play for the country in the World Cup. PELE doesn't think he will among them. But at everyone's big surprise, PELE is chosen to be part of the team. His father is so happy. He gives amazing encouragement to his son before PELE goes for the World Cup. PELE then meets his new teammates. Some reporters make fun of Pele's style of playing football. PELE recognizes him to be the rich kid he faced when he was a kid. He tries to respond, but the mic is removed from him. The coach of the national team then takes PELE aside and forbids him from playing with his usual style. The next day, PELE tries playing the regular play but is having a hard time. So he tries to play his way but is injured by tackle from another player. The doctor of the team checks on him and adds the possibility that this may remove him from the World Cup. That same night, PELE tells everything to his mother. His mother gives him encouraging words. The World Cup then begins and many players from Brazil get hurt. The coach has no other choice and call PELE back to play, even if he is not 100% recovered. This time PELE doesn't think he can make it work. But the coach has no choice. PELE is nervous. The game then begins. After a great game, Brazil wins. Days later, it's the semi-finals against France. France is leading. The halftime then arrives. The teams go to their locker rooms. PELE looks around and so many of the players are hurt. He gets big doubts. He then goes to another player of the team and asks him to replace him in the game. The player says no, as he is also demoralized after the beating they're all having. That player adds that he doesn't like the regular way of playing football. He tells PELE that he shouldn't listen to their coach, that PELE should play his style. PELE is really thoughtful. The game then comes back after halftime. PELE continues playing the regular way of football. But at one point, he looks at his teammate who he spoke with in the locker room. The player nods at him and PELE decide to go for it, and play his style of football. He avoids all players and score an amazing goal. PELE then score another goal and Brazil win. They are headed to the finals. The next day, the coach gather all the players. He tells them to play the regular way of football and not what PELE did. The coach tries to copy the Swedish style but it just doesn't work. Days later, the press conference takes place. The coach from Sweden makes fun of Brazil's way of playing. This makes Brazil's coach lose his temper. He then walks out in the middle of the conference. That same night, PELE asks advice to his father. His father tells him to bring his team together like he was doing when being a child. And the next day, that's exactly what PELE does with a silly game in the hotel. The coach watches it and understands that his approach is not the right one. He then gathers the team and apologizes. He let them know he wants them to play their style of football instead. He wants Brazil to show the world how to play football. The finals finally arrive. Brazil faces Sweden. Sweden takes the lead but Brazil comes back to equalize the score. As the game progresses, PELE with his teammates are scoring one after another. The game ends and Brazil wins the World Cup for the first time ever. Brazil goes crazy as well as the stadium. We are then shown the real footage of the moment. The movie ends by saying that PELE is the only player winning 3 World Cups. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out other movie summaries we have on our channel.